What's up guys, Anders here with another Black Desert video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell icon to get notified when I upload my next video. Today we're going to dive into the CalpheON event showing us the future of Black Desert and what to expect in 2021 and beyond. Pearl Abyss announced Nova, a new Iron Mason Tower Shield class that will be releasing on December 22nd along with the launch of the winter season. A pre-creation is December 16th by the way, so keep that in mind. Next week you can start building your own Nova. Nova's spirits have two types, infantry and cavalry type, that deal specific types of damage as well. And if you want to see more on the new Nova class, make sure to check out my video reaction on the channel. Nova's probably going to be my new main, just saying. Pearl Abyss officially announced they will be self-publishing Black Desert on PC starting in the end of February 2021, ending the 5-year publishing relationship they had with CalpheON. I'm going to be going into what exactly that means and how it may or may not affect you in a separate video, since there's a lot to unpack there and that's just too much for this video. Now, first thing developers wanted to talk about, surprisingly, was PvP. Now, Pearl Abyss understands they have been lacking a bit in terms of offering PvP content in this space, so they're working on the revamped node war system that sees guilds not just fighting for nodes but also needing to defend and expand their territory control throughout subsequent battles. Now, if a guild takes over a node, they can expand to a node nearby, but also keep in mind that guilds nearby can expand into their territory as well, so formulating strategies as an offense-defense flow will be very important. The format of having certain node wars available during certain days of the week will be changing to allow more lively battles and more participation by guilds of all sizes. Guilds will also be getting a main server system soon, so guilds that designate one server region, so for example Velia servers as your home server, will receive small bonuses for playing in those servers. So if your guild designates Velia as a home server, you may receive additional buffs for playing on Velia channels, so Velia 1, Velia 2, and so on. The benefits themselves will not be so rewarding that it impedes lone wolf players in the guild to do their own thing and grind where they wish, but the main benefit of being on a home server is the ability to move between server channels without cooldown. So you can move from between Velia 1 to Velia 2, Velia 3 with absolutely no cooldown. It's going to be great for checking guild missions, checking open spots in grind zones, and being able to check Imperial Box delivery availability, something positive for basically all types of players. Now, along with the main server, we'll be getting Invasion Week and Server Wars. Now, every 1 or 2 months, there's going to be an event called Invasion Week. You will obtain attack and defense buffs as well as much better main server benefits, and the catch is that your guild will become hostile or war decked with any guild that designates other servers as their main server. So any guild can invade others in an open PvP environment, and the main goal that developers have in mind is to steal a server relic from an enemy that will grant additional buffs to the server that holds the relic. Now, for those that avoid PvP like the plague, there will be restrictions in place that protect the less PvP inclined of the game. Defending your server will also grant you more advantages as well. Along with the Invasion Week system, they're implementing a sheriff system, so those that are weaker and unable to defend themselves can message and call upon a sheriff to come and help them. The system allows for weaker players to call upon the strongest players for aid and allows those sheriffs to know where the person is and when they are needed. Server wars are an upgraded version of the now scrapped World Siege War mechanic that the developers were planning in the past. Now, once the Invasion Week is over, each server will be placed within 2 factions. There should be about half the server population in one faction and then the other half in the second faction. Guilds in each faction will attack enemy guilds or defend allied guilds. The scale at which this will take place will be the largest in the history of large-scale fights for Black Desert. Fights will be breaking out throughout the entire region, allowing stronger guilds to fight in the front lines and weaker guilds to fight more local skirmishes, and other guilds can provide tactical support through new elephants and the building of guild campsites that can serve as headquarters for the frontline guilds. Pearl Abyss plans to make it advantageous for all guilds to cooperate together within their faction, so no smaller guild gets left out and everyone everyone can at least contribute to the eventual objective of victory over the opposing faction. More updates along with the PvP include the 10 vs 10 crew feature. Now this content will be for players who solely do PvP and want to form a group of like-minded individuals. You can form a group of 10 with each member being a different class and having 3 members as reserve. The combat modes available will be similar to Capture the Flag or Mini Siege format. They're also working on a ranked system with a special tournament called Champions League that will see the best crew from Korea versus the best from Japan or North America, for example. They're thinking of a home-away format at the moment, and it seems really interesting if you're really into PvP. Now, World Siege, like the ones that have been seen between Asian regions, for example, Taiwan versus Korea, Southeast Asia versus Korea, will be coming to other regions like North America and Europe eventually once the distance issue gets resolved, since ping is going to be a bit of an issue with these regions. Now, Pearl Abyss has also acknowledged that Blackstar armors and weapons have limited potential compared to pen equivalent boss armors due to the lack of Kaffir's levels, so they're adding a new item that will be able to enhance the stats of your Tri or Tet Blackstar gear while still allowing you to go for pen Blackstar if you wish. Now this will allow those with Blackstar equipment to feel a sense of progression and not feel the need to go to those boss gears. The new item will be available through various means, but mostly through the Hadum Zone monsters and the new world boss that will be coming later this year. Speaking of Kaffir stones, they're aware that there is a large discrepancy between regions in terms of availability, so they're trying to work out a way to help those regions who are struggling to meet Kaffir's demand. Winter Season, like I said, will be releasing December 22nd alongside the release of the Nova class. The world boss I mentioned is called Blackstar Raid at the moment and will be appearing in Star's End, the area where you defeat the boss for acquiring your Blackstar gear. They're still working out the difficulty of the boss and the layout of the fight, but there will be methods for even under-geared players to help defeat the world boss as the fight progresses. One of the main drops will be the item needed to enhance Blackstar stats. The Mountain of Eternal Winter is the new region coming to us in Q4 of 2021. This new region will be the home of the Guardians and will contain harsh weather conditions leading to hypothermia if you're not careful. Now, Guardians will have a passive resistance against hypothermia, and shy characters will be able to start campfires to protect their allies against hypothermia. 2 new zones within the Mountain of Eternal Winter region include the Okjinsini and the Murawak Labyrinth. The Okjinsini reside in the Golden Mountain and seem to be lower density but higher difficulty mobs that you can take one-on-one. The Murawak Labyrinth contains smaller insect-like mobs that will work together to swarm you. If you encounter and attack the queen, the mobs will begin to swarm you relentlessly in efforts to defend their queen. The zone is incredibly difficult, but will reward those able to withstand the onslaught of mobs with good items. We don't know exactly what those items will be. Now, the Terror of the Deep Sea is the first hardcore zone that they're talking about making more for. It's a new, incredibly difficult zone that sees players venture into this new area by themselves. You can't actually group up for this. The more you kill monsters, the higher the difficulty of the area. The more you defeat them, the harder they're gonna hit you. The more elites are gonna spawn, and the more difficult it's gonna become to stay alive. Now, if you choose to leave the zone, you can take all the loot that you received with you, but if you die to mobs inside the zone, you're gonna have half your loot taken away. The catch is that if you leave or die, you will have a time restriction to re-entering the area. So Pearl Abyss is thinking right now of making that timer 2 to 4 weeks at the moment, but they assure us the loot will be worth the challenge according to the developers. Next up, we're now getting large-scale housing. Probably for me personally, one of the more hype announcements, since I'm a huge fan of housing in games, and mansions, as they call it, will be housing that you can use by investing contribution points and satisfying certain conditions in the city. You will be granted a permit and a deed of a land for a mansion. You can customize the interior, you can customize the exterior as well, plant trees, guardian statues, lighting, and you're going to be able to craft mansion related furniture as well. They're thinking of even adding a ranking system, but are unsure of how they're going to go about that yet. For the most part, they're building this mansion feature to allow players to express themselves artistically. It looks amazing. I personally can't wait till it gets into live servers. Now, dungeons. That's right, we now have cooperative dungeons to look forward to. 3 to 5 players will be able to access this new dungeon in Ancient Stone Chamber in Balanos. The rewards will not be unique or necessary or better than other comparable areas, but there is no hard information on exactly what they're thinking of at the moment. We just know that the new dungeon is called Ataraxion and will be massive, with players and party needing to work together to complete the dungeon and defeat the boss. There will be a special role for those players with low gear score to still be able to participate and not feel like they need a ton of gear to go and do this dungeon. Port Rat, also known in the game as the Kingdom of Hasso, will be opening up within the next 2 years. The new continent will allow players to traverse to the homeland of the Mewa, Musa, and Lan and experience a more traditional Korean-style landscape and culture not really found in the main continent of Black Desert. Of course, to get here, you will need to traverse the Margorian Ocean, and they're thinking of calling this new region in the continent Land of Dawn. If you visited Port Rat, you already know it's absolutely beautiful here. Can't wait to see more of it. Now, in the Q&A, they went through a lot of topics, so we'll go over it one by one. The developers seem to understand that there are already huge gaps in usage when it comes to whether a person is playing an Awakening version of the class or a Succession. Now, Perlibis is very adamant about Awakening being the more technical, since you have to switch weapons, so they're adding another Awakening-only skill to Awakening kits. To not let Succession users feel kind of left out and angry, core skills will be coming to Succession kits as well. In terms of balance, they're assuring players that they want to buff weaker classes rather than take a strong class and nerf it. So this is going to be a delicate process that they are using more veteran players' input before deciding to go ahead with one buff or a nerf. Elevation issues for range classes will hopefully get better with a new update next week. This is for classes that do absolutely no damage to others because of a slight elevation change, so usually casters or ranger and archer. Frame rates dictating your animation speed and thus increasing your DPS is an issue they're trying to rectify as well with upcoming changes, so it will be a matter of time to see whether or not they're successful in balancing the need for performance over fidelity. That should be interesting. It will affect mainly classes that use a lot of high FPS, like Warrior, for example. Pearl Abyss is trying to do away with players' uninterest in the story and make it more interactive. They want to allow players to feel a bit more immersed in the story by allowing them to take a more active role in the fights within the story. The developers plan to revamp a lot of PvE areas in other regions outside of Odalita in 2021. The new content exclusive to the winter season, allowing new players to feel more rewarded for playing more of a season, will be instituted. Guild content will take the form of the new dungeon, for example, a dungeon-like content that can be done with your guild. Otherwise, they're focusing on revamping existing content and making it more akin to other new content releases in terms of rewards. The trade life skill will be revamped. The way they're thinking right now is that you would join a region merchant guild and compete with other regions, but the concept is still in early development. New ship skins may be coming, by the way. Pieces of the Great Ocean Part 2, which we never received, have been delayed and shifted to be combined with the Land of Dawn update, so the new continent update. Blue Battlefield is still in development. That's the PvP mode for ships. Pirates in the ocean will not be given any priority or advantages in the future whatsoever. You can also now call Old Moon supply ships to come and resupply your ship in the open ocean. It will cost more than simply docking and buying supplies and re-establishing your cannons, but it can allow those who wish to hunt sea monsters for long periods of time to do so without issues and without the need to buy food and crystals to replenish your rations and cannons. The developers say that they're willing to add Papu and Dwarf classes, but not anytime soon. It is though confirmed that one day we will definitely have a Papu class and a Dwarf class. So if you're hype about Dwarf classes and Papu classes, it will eventually come, guys. This teaser image is a class that will be coming next year. They're calling it a fun class, but absolutely no further details have been announced whatsoever. We can also see the Hasso style on the top right, so it may actually be a class related to the region Land of Dawn. So I'm sure we'll see more as the end of 2021 nears. They also wish to develop as many classes as possible. They don't think that 2021 classes is a lot. They want to make classes as much as they can so that everyone has a class that they like. New items like Infinite Potion will be added eventually, but currently there are no plans in development for more items like that. We may one day have bears and shadow wolves as mounts. They're testing them right now. The next tier 10 for Dyna and Doom will come later in 2021, and the tier 10 Dyna will allow you to run on water. They showed a little bit of what they're testing right now. The running on water will be limited though, so you can't just run all the way to Port Rat across the Margoria Sea. Perlibis Abyss is also working diligently on giving us new outfits. They showed concept art for some of the new ones that will be coming in 2021. They look amazing. And for console players, they wish to continue working on performance for all models of PlayStations and Xbox, not just focusing on the new generation of consoles, as they wish to provide a stable foundation to work from. The gap in gear between players on console is actually the largest amongst all platforms. It's something that is concerning to them, so they will be more inclined to balance PvP on console differently than on PC. As for the mob density being cut in half in console, they will be restoring areas to their normal density, as feedback has told them it is a feature that many players miss. And that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Lots of information. Let me know what updates you are most excited for in 2021. For me, it would have to be obviously Nova and Mansions. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.